We are continuing this morning our Life According to Jesus series. The life as Jesus meant for us to experience it. Jesus says, I've come that you may have life and have it to the full. What is that life? What does it mean to have a full life? And how do we get that? How do we walk? How do we live in that? And this morning we've been looking at the attention that Jesus gives to work, to why we work, to how we work, to the work that we do. And all of our mothers labored, right? All of our mothers labored literally to bring us into existence. All of our mothers worked. And the market value of a mother, did you know this? The market value of a mother today is $145,000 a year. Like if you paid somebody to do all the things that a mother does, the cooking and the cleaning and the shopping and all of those, $145,000 a year, which over the course of 18 years is $2.6 million. I'm in the wrong business, man. Labor. I'm not talking per se about moms, but our moms definitely work. When it comes to work, there's some questions. Like, first of all, I mean, what is work? Work. Anybody idea? When you say work is what? I can't hear. Guys, talk louder. Toil. Work is toil. All right. Work is. Amy. Fun. Work is fun. You know, the chuckle falls across the crowd. Work is work. Okay, that's original. Yeah, it is what it is. Work is hard. Work is drudgery. Work is necessary to our existence. Work, tiring and joyful. Kind of a mixed bag there. Work is a learning experience, all right? Turn to somebody sitting close to you and tell them what your best job was. Best job that you've ever had. All right. Tell them what your worst job was. Okay, now show of hands. How many of you found it easier to come up with your best job? How many found it easier to come up with your worst job? Some of you raised your hands twice. I don't know. Since the curse, right? Since the fall of humanity, work has been a pain, right? Like literally. They say if you love your job, you'll never have to work a day in your life. But many people have found that job elusive, right? Where is that job that when I work that job, it'll never feel like I had to work at all? And the questions about work, they start when we're young, right? It's like when you're a little bit kid, it's like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Right? What kind of job do you want to have? And then as you get older, you come down, after high school, or if you're not going to college, or after college, it's like, what are you going to do after you graduate? And then you come to the point where you've graduated, and sometimes what you wanted to do or what you went to school for, you can't. Then it becomes, what kind of job can I get? What can I do? And what is available to me? And then you start asking questions like, okay, well, if I get this job, will it pay the bills? Or maybe even more importantly now, will it provide insurance? Right? Is it going to give me the things that I need to survive? And sometimes you get to a point where you have a job and you kind of look at your job and it's like, does my job matter? Is there meaning? Is there purpose? Is there significance? Is this something that's worth doing? And sometimes you come to a point in your life and it's like, what am I going to do now? Or what am I going to do next? There's all kinds of questions and struggles and challenges that surround work. It's a pain. And a lot of people, when they come to work, are not exactly living the dream. Right? Not a lot of people, when they said, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? Said, you know what, I want to work at a gas station, or I want to be a middle manager at some company, or I want to be a telephone answering service on a complaint line, right? No, people, we don't often end up in the jobs that we dreamed of. And for some, work becomes a source of our identity. It's like I am what I do. You see this especially most obvious in like athletes, people who are like professional athletes, and since they were very young, they've been really good at something, and they've done it, and they've got a lot of attention for it, and they've got a lot of accolades for it, and made a lot of money doing it. And when it comes to their end of their career, it's like, who am I if I'm not a basketball player or a football player? Who am I if I'm not an Olympian? Who am I when I can't do this anymore? Do I still have an identity? I mean, I've been a pastor and working in the church for like 40 years now. Do I know who I am if I'm not a pastor? Do we start to associate what we do with who we are? For some people, it's a necessary evil, right? It's something we just have to do, like the 7 drawers. I owe, so off to work I go. Or, like Queen once said, right? I want it all, and I want it now. It's something that we do because we have to survive or because we want the things that we want. And for some people, work is the bane of our existence. I hate work for some people. It's just the way it is. Jesus had a lot to say about work. He talked with a lot of people and about a lot of jobs, things that people did. He talked with and about fishermen. He talked with and about farmers, field workers, vine dressers. He talked about shepherds. He talked about pig keepers in some of his parables. He talked about builders and construction. He talked about bankers, investors, stewards, potters, merchants, shopkeepers, people who buy, people who sell things. He talked about doctors, talked to lawyers, soldiers, commanders, judges, public servants, talked about tax collectors, people in authority, talked about party planners, people who threw weddings and banquets, talked about the religious workers, priests, prophets, teachers, rabbis, covered a whole gamut of different jobs and vocations and people who did different things. And Jesus actually did, in the course of his life, a number of different jobs, a number of different activities. By trade, his dad was a carpenter. Jesus became a carpenter. Right? He learned the trade from his dad, and we meet him in the Bible at 30 years old, but he had been along a long time. He had been an adult for a long time. He worked as a carpenter. We see Jesus functioning as a vintner. Did I say that right? It's hard to say, vintner. It's like somebody who makes wine, right? So we see Jesus at the wedding turning water into wine, and not just any wine. He made really, really good wine. Jesus was a teacher. He was a rabbi. It's actually what almost all of his friends and many of his enemies called him. And Jesus says it's right. You call me teacher and Lord, and that's what I am. I am a teacher. Jesus functioned as a doctor. We have story after story after story of Jesus participating in the healing of people, blind people, lame people, sick people, deaf people, right? Participating and helping people, heal people. Jesus said of himself that he was a shepherd, that he was a good shepherd. Some of his other things I think were really fascinating. He was a really incredible caterer. Like he was just taking the stuff that other people brought, 5 loaves and 2 fish, and fed 5,000 people. That's pretty fruitful catering business, I think. He was a fishing guide. If you like to fish, right, he could tell you show you the hot spots. It's like, throw your net down here, and he filled the nets up with food and caught all kinds of fish, and people were pretty awed and overwhelmed by that. He was a weatherman, but not like our meteorologist. He was not the meteorologist who says, hey, tomorrow is going to do this. He was actually the meteorologist who could tell the weather what to do. So on one occasion, there's a big storm, and Jesus says to the storm, quiet, be still, and the wind and the waves stopped. He was an exorcist, right? He drove out evil spirits. He drove out demons. Jesus said in John chapter 5, my Father is always at his work. To this very day, God is at work. He hadn't retired. He didn't just start the world and let it go. God is at work, and he says, and I too am working. Jesus worked. He honored work. He honored people who worked. And work was part of the plan from the very beginning of creation, from the start of this whole human story. That work was in the original design, that we would, as was noted, like we work for food. Genesis chapter 1, God said to the man and the woman in the garden, I give you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth, and every tree that has fruit with seed in it. They will be yours for food. It will be there for you to go out and to harvest, to feed your family, to meet your own needs, to meet the needs of your family. If you go to the story of the parable of the prodigal son, who went to his dad and said, hey, Dad, I want my inheritance. I want to go out and I want to live the wildlife. Can you give it to me? And his dad gave him his inheritance. It was the money that his dad gave him that it made it possible for him not to work and to go out and live the wildlife, which worked out really, really well for him until all the money was gone. But it was also, when he came to the end of his resources, that brought him to hunger. And it was being hungry that brought him back to his senses. It's like, whoa, this not work thing, this not getting paid, this not money thing doesn't work out very well for very long. Work for food. You see, as Jesus, in his ministry and the things that he did and the things that he taught, the status of the kind of relationship that God wants to have with us in our vocation, in our calling, in our work. In the parable of the talents, Jesus tells a story about a master. He has his servants come to him, and he gives to one of his servants 5 talents, 5 pieces of gold, whatever the measurement was in their day, 5 treasures, 5 gifts, and another 2 gifts, and to another 1 gift, and he sends them out to steward the resources that had been entrusted to them, to take the things that he got and to put them into use, to employ them. And then it says in the story that Jesus, the master, came back to settle accounts. And when he settled the accounts, he came to the person who gave him 5 talents. And the guy says, you gave me 5 talents, and I put them to work, and I have 5 more talents. And he returns the 10 talents to the master. And the servant who had 2 talents went out, and he put them to work, and he came back, and he gave the 2 talents plus 2 more to the master. He had employed the resources and trusted them, put him into work, and gave him a return on his investment. And the master says to them in Jesus' story, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. That the relationship here is of a master and his servant. And the master trusting his servant with his resources, and the servant being faithful to that trust and producing a return on his investment. Jesus says, well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful with few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Which, just as a side note, for those of you who think that heaven is like an eternal retirement plan, like a 5-star resort that we just get to kick back and enjoy the rest of our lives, is actually like you're faithful with your stewardship here, you get more work in heaven. Maybe not exactly what you had in mind, but it works out really well at the end of the story, we find. And then the other servant, servant who got 1 talent, he comes back and says, I was afraid of you, and so I hid it in the ground, and I kept it, and I'm giving it back to you, just as you gave it to me. And Jesus said to this servant, or the master in the story says to this servant, you lazy, wicked servant. What did this guy do wrong? What did he do wrong? He didn't go out and blow it on wild living. He just did nothing. And for doing nothing, the address that he gets his lazy, wicked servant. Stewardship, resources entrusted, serving the master. But it goes beyond that as Jesus continues, that Jesus talks about work not just as master-servant, but as a partnership. Something that we do together in cooperation and partnership with God. In the story of the prodigal son, there's another brother. The brother that we talk about less. We talk a lot about the brother who went away to the wildlife and then came back to his father, and his father welcomed him back into his home with open arms, received him. There was another brother, an older brother. And his brother, the older brother, stayed at home. The older brother continued to faithfully serve his father. And when his younger brother comes home and his dad welcomes him, he's home, the older brother's mad because he went out and he wasted all this, but I stayed here, Dad, and I did the hard work. And he says to his father, look, all these years I've been slaving for you, never disobeyed your orders, yet you never gave me even a young goat so I could celebrate with my friends. And the father says, my son, you are always with me. Everything I have is yours. The son was operating as a servant, actually a slave. And the father in the story, who is representing our Father in heaven, said, no, son, you got it all wrong. You are not my slave. We're in this together. Everything I have is yours, and we're partnering in this to accomplish my purposes in the world, to build our kingdom. We're in this together. It's a partnership, which is the relationship that Jesus modeled out in his life and in the way that he lived. The words I say to you, Jesus says, I do not speak on my own authority. Rather, it is the Father living in me who is doing his work. He would say, everything I say, the Father said to me, I'm telling you. Everything I do, the Father is telling me what to do, and I'm doing it. Partnership. And that's the exact same kind of relationship that he envisioned for us to have in our work relationships. He says, very truly, I tell you, whoever believes in me will do the works I have been doing. My followers are on Team Jesus. We're in this together. We're playing together as a team. He will do even greater things than the things that I am done, because I am going to the Father. I'm going to send the Spirit, and we're going to partner in this thing together. So master, servant, partners. And then Jesus, towards the end of his ministry, takes it even a step further. Not just servant or partner. He says, I no longer call you servants, because the servant does not know his master's business. I have called you friends. Friends. Because everything I learned from my Father, I have made known to you. A servant doesn't know his master's business. You know the business. I've shared it with you. I've told you where we are and what we're doing and what we're working together towards. All for the kingdom of heaven that is being advanced. And you're in it now. And your servants, partners with me, friends, to advance the kingdom of God. It's more than just a job. It's more than just a job. It's not about our identity. It's not about who we are. It's not about what we do. Work in God's design is about God's identity. God's identity. It's a divine design where the things that we do, our labor, our vocation, our work, is a manifestation, a revelation of the glory of God, the power of God, the strength of God, the character of God, the nature of God. We call it the imago Dei, the image of God. It reads like this, Genesis chapter 1. So God created humankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. Everything else that God had created, all the other living things that God had created, were created after their own kind. But humanity was created after the image and likeness of God. That when you see a human being, you're seeing something of who God is and what God is like. And then it says, and God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and increase in number. Fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish in the sea, the birds in the sky, and over every creature that moves on the ground. Be fruitful, increase, fill things up, subdue them, bring them under reign, under control. Rule over them, govern them. I'm giving you all of these resources now, putting you in charge of it for the sake of your good, but also for my glory. We do the things God did and the things that God does when we do the things that he created us to do. We reveal the beauty of God, the creativity of God, the ingenuity of God, the productivity of God, the resourcefulness, the abundance, the care, the compassion, the joy, the imagination. When we do things with the things that God has entrusted to us, our minds, our hearts, our bodies, our souls, and the resources that he's put in the planet, when we do stuff with that, we're revealing things about God to the world. It says Jesus was the visible image of the invisible God. Right? You looked at Jesus and you saw who God was and what God was like. Remember the very first miracle that Jesus did in John chapter 2? The very first miracle Jesus did was when he went to the wedding and they ran out of wine, and he took water and turned it into the wine to protect to extend the party, and also to protect the bride and the groom, and especially the father of the bride, from shame and embarrassment for not having enough wine for the party. And it's a crazy story, actually. If you do the math on how much wine Jesus created that day, it's like over 800 bottles of wine. Like, this party was going on for a while. And it said that the wine that Jesus made that day was it was the best wine. The people were just like stupefied. It's like, usually you bring out the good wine first, and then after everybody's a little tipsy and maybe not so, not using so much of their taste buds anymore and more their, dumb cells, which often happens when you drink too much wine, then you bring out the cheap wine, right? Then you bring out the Mad Dog 2020, not like at the beginning. Jesus, the wine that he made was the best wine. And here's the point of the story is, hear this, right? It says at the end of that story, first miracle, that he thus revealed his glory. Do you hear that? He made wine. He didn't heal somebody. He didn't raise a dead person. Not yet. He's going to. Right? He didn't calm the storm. He made wine. And in making wine, he revealed the glory of God. we too were created in the image and likeness of God. So work is more than a necessary evil. It's not just intended to be something that we do to stay alive. It is a revelation in some small way, in some part, in the same way that when Jesus made wine and revealed the glory of God, the things that we do with the things that God has entrusted to us, in some small, when we do those things, we are revealing the glory of God. What we do, why we do it, and how we do it is indispensable to a full life. And Jesus says, I have come that you may have life and have it to the full. It's in doing the things that God created us to do and manifesting, revealing his glory, his presence, that we experience the abundance of the life that God made us for. And when we fall short of that glory, right, when we live, when we're less than what we were meant to be and we do less than we were meant to do, work becomes the verdict. Not God's provision, but the verdict on us. The verdict on our worth, for good or for ill. For some, it becomes a source of pride. Look at who I am, look at what I've done. And with that comes all manner of stress and anxiety, and now that I've done that, what am I going to do next? And how am I going to continue on? And for some, a source of shame, in the sense of, I know I was made for more than what I'm experiencing. My life was meant to matter, and it doesn't feel like it does. There's all kinds of research that's been done on people who are unemployed, right? Work can be two things, right? For some people, they're working themselves to death, and it's killing them. It's killing us. And for others, with an absence of a sense of purpose, without the sense that my life is mattering for something beyond just my existence and staying alive. Depression, disengagement, disconnection, shame. Because work is part of the way that we were made. Jesus' mission, when he came to the world, was to reverse the curse. Like everything that had gone south in the garden, the breaking up of the relationship, the communion, the connection with God, the break of the connection between Adam and Eve, and the blame and the shame that was created there, and then Cain and Abel and killing his brother, all the things that had gone south in the garden. When work became a pain, Jesus came to reverse the curse, to turn all of that back on its head, to turn everything right side up again. And work is part of what he came to redeem. What he came to restore to its original design, to its original intention. And he modeled it in his life. It says that he came from the Father, that he worked for the Father, and that he worked with the Father to accomplish his mission and his purpose on earth. He modeled what work was supposed to look like, what a relationship with God that is being lived out in the world was meant to look like. He modeled it. And then he called us to it. He says, this is what it looks like, and now I'm calling you, I'm inviting you to be a part of this. He says, I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me, and I remain in you, you will bear much fruit. Right? Fruit is something that's beyond, it's something that's coming out of our life. It's a produce of our existence in the world. You will bear much fruit. You will produce something that brings something to the world that nourishes. You will produce fruit. in partnership with Him, we experience our fruitful humanity. Life and life to the full. In partnership with Him, we experience our fruitful humanity. And Jesus says, and apart from me, this whole work thing, you go it alone, you do it by yourself, you do it for yourself. This whole thing is an exercise in futility. Apart from me, Jesus says, you can do nothing. Work apart from God is a substitute for God. Right? When we're not working in partnership with God, what we're trying to do with our work is self-provision, which is what God purposes for us to receive from Him as we work in partnership with. Self-validation. We're important or we're not important based on our work and what we're able to do or what we don't do. Self-protection. I'm going to arrange for my life to make my life work. It's all about work apart from God is all about self. And it never works. Because no matter how hard you work, no matter how good you are at your job, no matter how much money you make, no matter how many possessions you have, it will never satisfy our desires. It will never be enough. It'll never work. By design, God is not going to let us thrive without a communion, without a connection, without a fellowship with Him. And I just want to close in saying that this is not about doing some great thing for God. And this may not even be about your 9-to-5 job. It might be about how you do your 9-to-5 job. It might be how you relate to the people that you do your job with. It might be about how you are a neighbor, or how you are a mother, or how you are a friend, or how you are a human being, or how you are a teacher. It's about this. It is about what has God given me? What has God given me? And how can I partner with Him to faithfully employ it? What are the talents that He's given? What has He entrusted to me? What do I have that I did not create, that I did not manufacture? What do I have that has been given to me? And how can I use that? How can I partner with God in that to do something with it that's fruitful? How can I faithfully steward what's been entrusted to me? And that partnership with God is indispensable to a full life, to a life of abundance, to a life of meaning. Lord, I thank you for your generosity, for your goodness. Thank you that you made us to matter. That you made us to be a part of your work in the world in such a way that what we do honors you, brings glory to you, reveals your glory to others. And in so doing, gives our lives meaning, gives our life purpose, significance that goes beyond anything that we can manufacture for ourselves. So I pray, just in the name of recognizing what it is that we have that we're called to steward, that we might do an accounting here, that we might look at our ledger and say, what has God given me? What has God entrusted to me? What do I have? And what would it mean for me to partner with you in taking that to do something that's fruitful in the world, that brings beauty, that brings help, that brings healing, that brings knowledge, that brings understanding, that brings invention, that changes lives, that helps people, that supports people, that brings care, that brings compassion. God, what have you entrusted to us, and how can we partner with you in those things to reveal your glory and experience the abundant life? Show us the path, Jesus. Show us the path that leads to life. I pray in your name.